interest, Mr. Pratt?
Well, first of all, I think that a lot of people who are talking about this Okada business who have not taken the trouble to find out what it really involves. You understand? I have tried to understand this Okada industry. Indeed, only yesterday, I interviewed, as a journalist, some of the leaders of the Okada Riders Association of Ghana. And it turns out that most of the things that we say about Okada are not true. One, there's a general perception out there that it is young people who are engaged in the business. It is not true. Indeed, you find people who are between 50 and 70 years who are Okada riders. People who are actually between 50 and 70 years old who are Okada riders, especially outside the cities and so on. Many of the people who are involved in the trade are older people. You understand? So that perception that it is only young people who are looking for something to do and so on, who are Okada riders, is not true. And we should not be repeating it. Again, my own study of the Okada industry reveals that they actually earn more than taxi drivers. You know, averagely, Okada riders make about 3,000 Ghana cedis a month. Taxi drivers do not make that. You understand? So if you see them as people who are deprived, who are unable to make ends meet and so on, and therefore you are going to provide them with taxis or cars and so on, you express a total misunderstanding of the industry. Because my findings are that they make about 3,000 Ghana cedis a month. And indeed, if you were to talk to taxi drivers, many taxi drivers will tell you that they struggle to make their daily sales. They actually struggle to make their daily sales. I've spoken to taxi drivers who have had to borrow money to pay their daily sales, because if they don't pay their daily sales, car owners will take the vehicles from them and so on. So people should try and understand this Okada business properly. Then we are talking about providing them with vocational skills and so on. Creating the impression that Okada riders, are actually not properly educated, they don't have skills and so on. That's again very false. If you go into the Okada industry, you find people who have graduated from tertiary institutions who are riding Okada. Indeed, the National Public Relations Officer of the Okada Riders Association was a teacher. You understand? Since then, he's learned a lot more. He has about 3 degrees and so on. And he's riding an Okada. There are many graduates of our universities who are riding Okada and so on. There are people who have studied ICT. They are riding Okada. Some as permanent jobs and some as in order to gain supplementary income and so on. So that notion of Okada riders being, young people from the slums and so on, who have nothing to do and will give them cars and so on, it's all false. There's no truth in it, Now, the other thing which for me is significant, is that the Okada riders are feeling a void. I was telling the story of a friend of mine who actually has a brand new BMW and who packed it on one occasion and actually jumped on the back of an Okada because he was late for an assignment and he needed to get there in time. So he didn't go on the back of a motorbike because he didn't have a car. In fact, the car was an impediment to him achieving a certain objective at a certain time and so on. Now look at our roads. They are so choked. You can't. Indeed, in Accra, sometimes it takes 2 hours to move from one place to the other. 4 hours to move in and out in Accra. And we all know that. You understand? So the Okada riders are feeling a certain void in our cities. They are making life a lot more bearable for those who would otherwise have roasted in traffic and not be able to meet some of their needs and objectives and so on. Now, if you go to the rural areas, the situation is even far different. There are places in the rural areas where there are no paved roads. So if you give an Okada rider a car, he can't move, he can't work. There are no paved roads. The Okada riders are actually using footpaths in order to move goods and people from one location to the other. So anybody who comes up and says, oh, they shouldn't worry, we'll give them cars, doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't understand the business. He doesn't understand the circumstances under which Okada has become so important and so on. So that is just to throw light on the circumstances under which Okada has come to become, a thriving business and so on. Now, if you listen to the two, they say, major political parties, the NDC and the MPP, sometimes you are tempted to think that they're all saying the same things. Here you have the National Democratic Congress, who says that, look, we will legalize it and we'll regulate it and so on. Then I listened to my good young friend, Samia Wuku, who says that, oh, don't worry, when we come, we'll regulate it. How do you regulate something which is illegal? You can only regulate something which is illegal if you legalize it. So it would seem to me that the New Patriotic Party is now saying that they will do exactly what the NDC promised in its manifesto, because you cannot regulate without legalizing. And that for me is quite clear, you understand. Now, for political parties, I have heard that there are 2 million Okada riders in this country. These are figures which are being thrown out. There are some who say 800,000 and so on. Now, if you assume that there are 2 million Okada riders in this country, how can you go into a crucial election like this without trying to address the concrete needs and aspirations of 2 million people? You understand? And then you wait when your opponent has tried to address their aspirations, when your opponent has tried to address their needs and so on, then you come and say, I'll give you cars. When cars can never be a substitute for Okada. You understand? Never. If you go to rural areas where there are no roads, where they are using footpaths and so on, how are you going to use VW cars as a replacement for Okada? In any case, since this pledge was made, I don't know if you have noticed something. No day passes without some of our media splashing photographs of motorbikes which have had accidents and trying to create the impression that if you ride a motorbike, dole, you will die, and so on. You have an accident and you will die, and so on. Yet there is something interesting. All the political parties, including the New Patriotic Party, are distributing motorbikes. So if motorbikes kill, if motorbikes are the cause of accidents and so on, then all these motorbikes which are being distributed by the New Patriotic Party, are they distributing them to their enemies? People they want to kill? The NPP is distributing motorbikes. Does it want to kill the people who is giving the motorbikes to? In any case, today, any motorbike accident is described as an Okada accident. When indeed it's not all motorbikers, who are in the Okada business. And yet, if any motorbike got an accident today, it is portrayed as an Okada accident. I've seen statistics which suggest that motor vehicles, what do I say, cars and buses and so on, kill more people per year than Okada. Are we going to ban them? Is that the reason why there are accidents and so on? So the whole thing doesn't add up. Now, I want somebody to tell me one country in the world which has banned the riding of motorbikes. One country in the world. The riding of motorbikes has not been banned. Huh? Is it the taking of money from passengers which causes the accident? Or is it the nature of motorbikes which cause the accident? Is it poor road regulations and so on which cause the accidents and so on? Nobody is talking about these things. Nobody is talking about these things. We are just being hit with fake statistics. And I mean fake statistics because motorbikes are all not necessarily engaged in the Okada business. I mean, I travel a bit, I travel a bit around the country. There are many parts of the country, if you go there, you will find 4 persons riding one motorbike. 4 persons on one motorbike. And they are not doing it for commercial purposes. The farmer cannot afford a truck, cannot even afford a 3-wheeler. If he has 5,000 cedis or 6,000 cedis, he can afford a motorbike. In fact, if he wants a second hand, he may even get it for 2,500. So he buys one, and that is what he used to go to farm with his wife and children. And there are 4 of them sitting on the motorbike. What can we do about that? That is not Okada. If you have 4 people sitting on a motorbike, the likelihood of them being involved in an accident or something untoward is very high because the motorbike was not designed for 4 people. And you find it all over the country. We are not talking about that. We are talking about, it is okay for me to buy a motorbike and ride with somebody sitting at my back for as long as I'm not taking money from the person. The moment I take money from the person, it becomes an offense. Does this make sense? Does it make sense to anybody that I can buy a motorbike, pick a passenger, ride anywhere in the country? It's not illegal. But as soon as the person makes a contribution, pays me some money and so on, it becomes an offense. This simply doesn't make sense at all. And I think it's important for us to sit down and reflect properly on all the issues which are coming up. I agree with Richard. Let us reflect on the issues. But let us reflect on these issues on the basis of facts, not conjectures. Facts. And if you're looking at facts, you come to realize that many of the people who are involved in the Okada business are not young people. Then you come to realize that many of the people who are engaged in the Okada business are well-trained people. Some of them products of tertiary institutions and so on. And that they are resorting to this because of the high level of unemployment in our country. They are resorting to this because it gives them 3,000 Ghana cedis a month. What job pays people 3,000 Ghana cedis a month in our country? You understand? So we should put all of this together and think about it. In any case, it is the life of 2 million people that we are talking about and their dependents that we are talking about.
Thank you. Thank you.